Yo, what's good, everybody? Boy George Michael Perez, aka GMike, and y'all already know what it is, baby. Back with another episode of the G Perspective. And before we get into it, follow me on all my socials: Twitter at George Mike Perez, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at GMike Media _. And then the audio version of the podcast is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, and now Rumble as well. This week, bringing on a brand new guest, Terrance Austin, which I call him T. That's what I will go by. In the podcast itself, we go and we talk about his legendary Bears AAU team that he coaches. We get on the nit and gritty on that, and then we jump into the Phoenix Suns, which is one of his favorite NBA teams, and the offseason moves that they have made. So, like, subscribe, leave some comments, and let's get it. T, my boy, how you feeling?
How you doing, my man?
What's up, dog? It's been a while. I haven't seen you forever.
I know, man. I know, but I'm just proud to be here, bro. And I feel appreciative of being here, so it feels good, man.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a while, but still, it's like we haven't missed skip the beat,
Yeah. No, when I go back, I'll hit you up so we could go play ball at LA Fitness. We try to do that like Saturday mornings whenever I go down there for a weekend and stuff. But I appreciate you.
I like it, bro.
Yeah.
I love playing ball in the morning.
Yeah. 10 a.m., baby. 10 a.m. always. But I appreciate you coming on, man. I know you're a busy guy. You're a father out there, and either, I don't know your situation, but either a husband or a boyfriend. And I know you got a lot of not a lot of time on your hand. You know what I'm saying?
I get shot if I say I'm not a husband, but I'm a husband now. So.
Okay. Well, yeah. Hey.
I'm married now. Yeah.
Okay. Congrats, bro. Congrats. That's gonna be me soon. Soon.
I saw that too. Congratulations, sir.
Appreciate it, man. But yeah, you're a father, and I've seen you be a great father out there too. And I know there's not a lot of free time on your hands, and especially with the things that you got going on right now, because I know that you are the founder of the legendary Bears. And for the people that do not know, it's a brand new AAU team. Well, not brand new. It's been a year.
We're a small program.
Yeah.
Like I said, a little engine that could,
Yeah, a little AAU team that's going on there in Miami, Florida. He's getting it on and popping, and they're looking great on IG. That you guys can follow them as well as the legendary Bears. But you know what? I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to let you talk about how you found this team and how it's going for you right now.
Okay, so originally I started off just training kids one-on-one, until I got maybe 5 kids, and we weren't the best, and how it was funny because I started, I want to shout out to the league that I started to go in, Frenzy League. We started playing with AAU teams that were amazing. So my team went from losing on average by 30 points plus, to us, learning how to win the game and learning how to develop, So when we first started off, if you don't have the chemistry you need here in South Florida, the athleticism is crazy here.
Yep.
Even from kids you can see it even in 9U, you see kids playing now like NBA players. So if you don't go correct, these kids are coming and take your head off, and that's something I'm seeing with a lot of these kids now, and I get to watch them because you can say what you want. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that when I get in the games. But what actually happens is, what the beauty is of sports is, what actually happens is you got to say what you say out of your mouth to try to put down on production. Mm-hmm. So me seeing that with a lot of kids, I feel comfortable after I had I felt like how the Celtics are kind of built with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. That's how my team started to orchestrate. I started to see I had 2 guys that were ball dominant, but I could carry our team. We still lost, but it was like I told and it was crazy that one of my kids, who I love, his name is Manny. He told me that he's like, Coach T, you taught me how to not lose, but how to take a loss. And he told me he needed that as a leader, because this kid went from averaging 6 points to 23 to 30 points a game.
Wow.
And it was crazy because it was crazy because all it was mental. The kid had game. He rode the bench a lot of times for certain high school. So those are most of the kids that I say I look for because I don't neglect any kid that comes my way as long as they're respectful, they're resilient, um, and they really believe in themselves. Because at the end of the day, these sports that we play and even the things that we coach is not easy for kids to come out here and just say, "Hey, look, I want to be this player," And some of the coaches out here, they try their best to get them to be that level, but if they don't have the mindset or they don't have the work ethic, it doesn't really work out.
Yeah.
So and I learned that the hard way because you can't. One, you're not gonna be able to develop every child the way you want, but the best thing is if you can instill any type of life lessons in them. One thing I love about my program is camaraderie. I still have kids that I've trained and I coached 8 years ago that are still calling me right now to this day saying, like, I had one kid, his name was Josue. He came from Cuba, and he was a soccer player, and he didn't really know people. He didn't have friends. But I had kids on my team that were shy kids that get bullied, people that didn't have friends. So when this kid told me, like, Coach, you did this and this for me. This man's a grown man now. He's telling me that I wouldn't be where I'm at, or I wouldn't have the mindset if it wasn't for playing for your program. And I was like, damn, that's huge because it more to me to say, okay, this program is just more than just basketball. It's just more than just sports. Because at times, some of these kids can feel like they just use robots or they just use players. And each player that comes in my program, I like to know their names. That's why my program's not that big, or you haven't really heard of it, because I'm more, like I said, hands-on, and I like to be where it's like I can know that kid's name, I can know that kid's attributes, and I can know what they can bring and what they need in the game because we're all human. I'm not perfect either, but too many kids at once, it's kind of hard to deal with the bottle. Or if you really want production, 3 teams is really where it's at, because I have a 17U, I have a 15U, and I have a 12U. Each one of those levels require a certain type of due diligence. Like if you're not really hands-on with these kids or you're not really focusing on their skill day to day, I train 3 days a week with them, but 2 hours for those 3 days. So those 2 hours are very focused and detailed.
Yeah.
1 hour of training, whether it's working out or skills, and then 1 hour of film, skills, stretching. So like I said, I have them on a very tight schedule, and I see that it develops. So I felt like I have the system now for these kids, and now I also have a training business called Legendary Impact Training, and you can also follow them at Legendary
I love it. I love it. Hell yeah.
Training. But yeah, like I said, I also dealt with kids that were heavy set. Well, that's when we would lose for 30 games because, excuse me, teams would target us. Hey, look, this guy is the weak link in your team. So I had to coach around those things until I started to get kids that were athletic enough to be able to carry. And those were the teams that you guys now see today on IG. Even to those, hats off to those kids like on the 17 that you see on my page. Those guys helped me really establish where I'm at right now because I've actually got offers to go travel now, and I'm looking for more players now to develop that travel team before I go anywhere. Mm-hmm. So that's why you haven't seen more about me traveling. But I got offers to go play in New York. I got offers to go play in South Carolina. I'm talking about big programs like what's his guy's name? DJ Wagner. So I got offered to play in his level like AAU circuits. And I'm not saying I'm going to ball there, but I was like, hey, look, I'll take my kids there and see how far we can go.
Yeah, sure. Take the challenge.
And it was beautiful because the guy was also telling me there's also like extra pay you can pay to each tournament, and they'll put you in a room with specifically scouts. And I thought I was like, that's big time because I'm not saying that's what I want to do for every child, but for the kids that can carry that weight, I want to be able to give them that bridge to be able to gap. So that's another reason why I also started my AAU program because as we were young in the early 2000s, 2010, 2007, around those areas, to be on the AAU team, you had to be like an NBA player. There was no, okay, you can just start. That's why it's a beautiful thing now with the programs now because the average person now can just make their own AAU team and they could actually, I've seen it where teams that they didn't have the most skilled, but they were very fundamental. Like this eighth grade team that I saw, there was a kid that was 6'7", and he was dominating over these young kids from Kendall. Bro, and you see the fight in the second half, they were getting blown out by 25. They came back and won the game. And I was like, that's big time because this kid was built like Dwight Howard, just manhandling and dunking on these kids. Like he stepped on their will. The kids came back because you could see the coach realize, okay, this is a grown man they're playing against. So I had to coach a certain way. I can't be like I'm in the NBA yelling and stuff like that. So it was kind of cool to watch that because I really think that South Florida sports is really taking a U-turn because we're not really known for basketball.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of teams, and I want to say shout out to Columbus, shout out to Riviera Prep, shout out to Berlin, shout out to those schools that want to fight for the championships because it's very rare that you hear a Miami team besides Miami High winning championships.
Yep.
You know, so I wasn't a fan of those schools because I went against them, because I'm out of my Southwest. But those teams really deserve that because it's very hard to win a championship here in Florida, period, any sport, because we have crazy athletes, even girls, flag football, I seen some girls that I go to my wife's game sometimes, she coaches softball, and I'm like, man, like, South Florida sports is where it's at.
Yeah.
It don't matter what it is you come for, and I'm very proud of that. And to be a coach in South Florida, I take that as a chink in the armor, and I take it personally. I see a lot of teams that are from here. We have some type of civilization in our logo that represent where we're from. Just pay homage to where we're from because not a lot of people respect Miami sports and basketball per se.
Yeah.
We're known for football.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what I just want to share about what we do here at Legendary. I picked up kids before that never played basketball a day in their lives to helping them average 10 to 12 points a game. That's success to me.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for kids doing windmills. I like to teach kids that just want to learn the game. What I care about is the kids that fall in love with the sport. Because as you know, being an ex-athlete is like myself, you never really get away from the sport.
Never.
And we always mentor them. Even in the NFL, you see Jerry Rice. This guy's been in the NFL since the early 90s, and this guy's still in the NFL. So what I'm saying is, like even Mike Tyson, bro, like looking at him in fights at times, like, bro, this man has other things that he's doing in life that he's accomplishing, but he still finds love for his sport.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because, ball is really life. And I'm starting to really see that, I have a lot of young, not just say men, but I have a lot of young kids become from adolescents to young adults through this sport, because it takes dedication. And I'm not the easiest coach to deal with, I tell people all the time, I'm not your cup of tea, this program's not for you if it's not for you because I don't do this for money. I do it for the pride. I do it for the love of the game. I do it for the preparations, the development. I love to see young kids that get to look at me on the court and say, Coach, I never thought we could score against this team, but I have 12 points against a team that I used to look up to. Those things, man, is like, if I just stay who I am, I get to bring that along with the kids, And the other day I got to see LeBron and Rondo coach at Peach Jam. And I'm like, they're paving the next way forward for the next kid to grow up to be that dominant, to wear those shoes. Because I saw LeBron, I forgot what the kid's name was. He was a slimmer kid, but he was around LeBron's size. But you can see LeBron giving him like tools like, yeah, you got it. You can do this. You're great at this. And that's a great thing because kids need that, When we get on the court and I'm playing on the field, when you get those jitters, the first time jitters, people that play the sport notice when you have those jitters. And, that's like a guppy in the water when you move like that, So I get to see that too because I have to walk kids through that as well, and how I react to the game is how these kids carry the game on because they'll make a mistake and they look at me and I have to keep my cool inside. So I learned that from Eric Spoelstra. So shout out to Coach Spo because, even, we can always get mad at one point in time.
Yeah.
But when you keep your composure, man, and you believe in your players, man, I really, that motto that the NBA and that college sports trying to put, I believe, that really worked. You know, that message that who was it? Sorry, Deion Sanders. I believe that works because that's another shout out to that coach, Coach Prime, because those are coaches I look up to because we're not gonna always get the best player, but the best coaches like Coach Belichick, they coach the best players. They coach the best out of players. And that's something that I really want to make a niche for myself as being a coach here in South Florida because there's a lot of great coaches that have left here and have been here and that are here to this day. It's not easy to win here in Miami. Whether you win by 1 point or you win by 20 points, a win is a win here because it's a dogfight in every game that you get into. Because there are kids nowadays that are shooting like Steph Curry. Like I'll give you another team. We played against a team, True North's AAU team. Shout out to Coach Wee. He had a kid there that this kid probably puts up 1,000 threes a game. I mean, like in practice. This kid made 11 threes against us. They killed us by 20 points. And we had a more athletic team, but they were strategically smarter. So that's something that a lot of my kids need to understand. You never underestimate
anybody.
The teams you play against. Anybody.
Yeah, anybody.
And like the Miami Heat have shown up this year. They were in the 8th seed, and they carried their weight out. Like, that's unheard of because at the end of the day, they're not saying strap players because if you're in the NBA, you are a great player. That's like 1% of the world. Mm-hmm. So those players like Kendrick Martin was averaging 25 and in college. This guy was an animal. So what I'm saying is belief is everything. That's what I wanted to, shine in on.
Yeah, man. No, you definitely touched on it a lot, and I love to hear the passion that you have excuse me, for these kids and the care that you have for these kids. One thing that I am actually curious on is that I know that there's a lot of coaches out there that can balance both on teaching kids how to play the certain sport that they're playing, teaching them the fundamentals, teaching them the skills and all that, and then still teaching them how to be young, great men or women. How do you balance both on teaching them to be great on one side and great on the other?
So I'm happy that you say that. That's an amazing question. This is why I love talking to you about sports, George. Your takes and your vision and your insight on how you see sports, you really see what it really is and behind the scenes.
Appreciate it.
And that's one of the reasons why I appreciate being here, to be able to talk about those things. It's not easy, but it's worth it. I'll say that first off. And you can use it. That's why I said ball is life. You can use these things like saying like teaching lessons and teaching moments. Like I'll give you a scenario. Last weekend, shout out to Coach Pete and the Blue Rays. We played them last weekend in the scrimmage. And one of my kids who wants to be point guard, he's always telling me like he has a point guard heart, like Chris Paul. He has it where he sees the kid struggling in drill, he'll come up and yell, like, we're gonna help you out with this. This is how you do it. He has that coachable mentality where he can coach on the court. The problem is he's never been put in that situation, so he doesn't know how to deal with it. We were losing by 15 points. We came back, and I put the ball in his hand to inbound the ball. He threw the ball away, gave the ball to the team. Under the rim, they scored, and we lost. I was so mad, but at that moment, I had to understand, like, okay, how many times have we done this before? Next game we played, I tell him shake it off. I was still upset at him. I tell him shake it off.
Yeah, you're human. You're human. It's gonna happen.
This is what men do when nobody's perfect. The greats shake it off. They, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant. I can go. The list go on. Have lost over 900 games in their careers. You have never lost over 100 games, 50 games. So if you don't know how to lose, how are you gonna know how to win? So those are things that are implemented to these kids, especially the kids that are great. So I'll tell you, there's stories that kids' parents didn't really believe in their kids in basketball until they came to my team. And it's because they're like, you're immature. Until I started pushing the maturity in them. So I had kids that would say, oh, coach, I can do this, I can do that, until I started holding them accountable. And like, we'll be losing. And like, it wouldn't be his fault why we would be losing. But I'll put all the weight on him and all the position on him. Because I saw Michael, And I saw Kobe carry that weight. I saw Phil Jackson do that to them. I saw Eric Spoelstra do that to their weight.
The leadership.
Pat Riley do that to their weight. And it's like, and I did it with my 12U. And I want you to know this up and coming 12U. This kid plays like Giannis. His name is Jaw Prince King. Sorry, Jaw Prince Williams. This kid, bro, sensation. This kid averages 27 points a game for me. He averages maybe like 2 or 3 blocks a game and about maybe like 7 or 8 rebounds a game. Whenever I'm on this kid's back, it's like we'll be in the battle. He's only 12 years old. This kid plays against high school kids now. I'm on this kid's back like white on rice. And it's like, bro, and it's all about the mindset. Because the skill, excuse me, the skill comes in when they believe. This kid didn't believe he could score that much until he started doing it. He started scoring 25. He's like, Coach, I didn't believe I could do that. Excuse me, I have a cold. He started winning game winners. We'll be in hostile environments where there's 100 parents screaming, "You suck, you suck." And this kid's looking at me. He's looking at me composed, relaxed, even killed. And I'm like, look, you got this, you got this, you got this. Even if he misses layups, you got this, you got this. He'll get it back on deep. So when I realized you don't always have to be that aggressive coach. You don't always have to be that. And I realized that there is a balance because we are like their second parents, their side parents, because they're around us a lot of times. So I can't be like, hey, look, you suck for doing this, especially if I'm not doing my job. And a lot of times I realize some of the things that they mess up in, they don't really know what they're doing because I didn't teach them that. So it's something that's something that I have to say, okay, going back to the drawing board. That's something I see a lot. I go back to the drawing board. It's okay. We can lose. It's okay. We can lose because when we learn how to lose, we want to know how to not go back to that. So a lot of these kids are like, okay, coaches believe in me. He put me in a situation, so now I have to carry myself like this. So when we're in practice, I carry my practice games like it's, sorry, excuse me about that, sorry.
No, you're good.
We're in the house. I'm sorry about that.
Tell her we all say hi. Tell her we all say hi.
I'll say everybody in the podcast says hi, but close the door, mommy. Please. Close the door. Okay, mommy, ask Moses to do. Close the door, please. Sorry.
You're good.
Yeah, like you said, it is a hard thing, My dad is I see why, Kobe Bryant was a really big inspiration on how to balance being a father and trying to be great because my daughter really wants to be around me in my life. My wife is also a softball coach. So I try to push sports on her because it does. I've seen it happen when you push things on kids that are really ready for it, or even if you see greatness in them and they don't see it themselves, you have to allow them to see it in themselves in order for it to work.
They have to love it themselves because if not, they'll hate it.
And I've seen it. I've seen parents put them on my team. So now I have this motto. I don't put kids on my team for the money anymore. I put them on my team for the will. So I have to get a feel for these kids to say I can help them become better because my trainings aren't easy. My practices aren't easy. And I think what really helps these kids that, like you asked me, how do I do that? In the sense of making them great and also balancing it, bringing the greatness out of themselves by saying, hey, look, coach, I was never able to do this. And a lot of these kids really see their turnaround. Like, excuse me, not to toot my own horn, but I help kids turn around within a month. They see a difference in their game. And so they carry around the swagger. They walk around like, how the old school you used to be. You know when you're playing with Ed Reed and these guys, when you saw that old Miami swag, that limp, that Uncle Luke, that Trick Daddy style, like I'm bringing that to my team. That's what I bring to them. No matter what gym we walk into, because like every gym we walk into, a lot of people are like, well, excuse me, who the hell are these guys? I put the year in my team that it was really established because a lot of teams that we've beaten, they try to make excuses and say, oh, we only lost to them because they've been together for 10 years. And I'm like, no, buddy. We started in 2019. It's just that's how much these kids are willing to grow, and that's how much I'm willing to train them. Because a lot of people don't really believe me, but I train them like they're in the NBA. I do not slack around. I don't care how old you are. My nephew was 8 years old, and I had him doing pull-ups and push-ups in my program. It's like you're gonna put muscle on here. You're not There is no, I don't discriminate in weight sizes, but there's no slouching is what I mean. I don't discriminate in weight size because I've had kids on my team that weigh 300 pounds in eighth grade, and I've helped them drop 80 pounds, 100 pounds, you know, within a span. I'm not saying, okay, I did it in a month, but what I'm saying is the type of work that we put in is the type of things that that work on those questions that you asked me about the greatness is, every certain, so the 3 days we work, I'll give you a breakdown of my schedule. Mondays we're running 2 miles every Monday. 2 miles, 30 pull-ups, 30 dips, 30 push-ups. Then we do some basketball work. We work on our systems that we do, our offensive sets and our defensive sets, and then on defense. I do that for my 12U, and I do it all the way down to my 17U. Everything I do with one team, I do it with every team.
Okay.
So like I don't change it. Only thing I change is the sets maybe on how the skill is. But other than that, I don't go outside the box. I keep it pretty simple. And I can give that check to Nick Saban. I can give that check to Coach Belichick because those guys, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that a lot of times, a lot of YouTubers and stuff like that, they have these kids thinking that they need to know 80 different plays, they need to know 80 different moves to the basket. When I simplify it,
It's a lot of
look,
fundamentals, bro. A lot of fundamentals.
I tell them all the time, sports is like class. It's math and it's science. It's angles and it's physics. So I'll say it's geometry. It's like, are you really paying attention in school? So that's why I tell them all the time, you're going to be a good basketball player, you're going to be a good athlete. You have to be intelligent. You have to have some type of intellect because you can't just come out and say, hey, look, I'm going to play against a guy that's one of the ranked players in the state, and I'm going to do whatever I want to this guy. You have to be prepared. You have to know his weaknesses. You have to know his strengths. So that requires strength. So another thing that I do with my kids, I make them play chess because I teach them you got to know strategy. So I teach them all the time. When we go against teams that are better than us, they're going to go on runs. Mm-hmm. How long can we withstand those runs? And a lot of times, I love coaching because it's like they scare themselves. They're like, damn, coach, when I listen to you, or damn, I didn't believe I could really handle this guy. This guy, this. I'm like, listen, I learned the hard way. When you don't know who that person is, you're going to guide him like you don't know who he is. So a lot of times I don't tell the kids how good the teams are we play against or what teams we play against. Because a lot of times my kids ask me, hey, coach, who do you have this weekend? Or hey, coach, who are we playing this tournament? And I won't tell them anything. I'll say, listen, don't worry about
that. I like that. They don't know the competition. Because that means that they either can't look at the other team and be like, oh, you know what, this is going to be an easy game. Let's just take it easy, whatever. No, like you're going to play the same hard way every single time.
And that's what I noticed. It's all about effort. If you give effort, you never know what you can bring to the table. Like there's kids that I've taken from a JV team that had a coach that only looked at talent and really overlooked these kids' capabilities. Not saying that they overlook their talents, but necessarily look at their capabilities and what they can bring to a team. Because I look at every kid that they can bring something to my team until they don't bring it to my team. There's one kid on my team. This kid's super fast. He's like a track star. His name is Sam. He was on his JV team and he didn't get to play at all. Now this kid averages like 17 a game for me, and it's because he didn't really get to show his skill set, or he wasn't really put in that situation. A lot of times I put kids in situations until they fail, because that's one thing I learned about myself. You put yourself into a situation, you're gonna either grow. It's like a sink or swim method, basically. That I learned that kind of like what Ray Lewis talked about. He said he trained us, and also for myself. I used to train myself to exhaustion. I used to train myself till I threw up. I used to train myself till I couldn't walk anymore. So I understood how far a human body can go, and I understood that you don't need to have the most money or the most like recognition to be a good basketball team. Mm-hmm. So I like to be those underdogs that go in the room and punch those teams in the face, because we have these NBA teams and we beat them in the first half. And the second half, miraculously, the referees started calling their favorite calls. You know what I'm saying? When kids get off jets and they just came from Las Vegas and they're feeling themselves, I tell my kids, they look at y'all like they're our practice team. What are y'all going to do about that? A lot of my kids
Go
make
out there
fun
and
of
punch
me.
him in the mouth.
Go out. I'm a little more explicit in my huddle.
And I
I'm
love
not
it.
gonna
I
even lie to
love
you.
it.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you because I really don't care about what a parent feels about how I coach these kids because at times we live in a world where I feel like a lot of times accountability isn't there at times, and I feel like that really hinders a child. When I was younger, my mom never, even if my mom didn't know about the sport, she never let me quit on myself. She never let me tell myself, "You're not worthy." I actually overcame asthma in my high school because I was one of those kids that really felt bad for myself. I was a chubby kid, I had asthma. Oh my God, I can't do it. I can't do it. I had a coach like, listen, you can't be on my team if you don't run cross country. We had to run 10 miles every day. And I
Sheesh.
used to tell myself, Terrance, what are you going to do? Are you going to put up or are you going to shut up? And I had this saying that I put on my long sleeves. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. And I understood that because it's like we've been down by 40 points, and like my kids haven't scored a whole quarter, and my kids are looking at me like, "What is coach gonna say?" I've grabbed some of my players, and I told them to say, "Listen, you're great," and I had said this nicely. You're great. I don't know what you're doing against this team, and we come back. I'll say we're a second half team because a lot of times, like 2015 UM with Manny Diaz, these guys wait till that second half to start playing good.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do that with teams that are good because they'll
Nah.
close the game out on you.
Yep.
And we learned that the hard way. So like those are just examples of things that when you ask me how I'm able to do that, and by the way of God and the patience it takes because a lot of coaches here in Miami want to win now. They don't want to wait. They don't want to lose. Like there are times that I've been, like I said, shout out to Frenzy League, where we play really good teams. That I was 0-7 because there's 7 games a season. We don't win no games. My kids are looking to us and say, Coach, do we suck? I'm like, no, we don't suck because in every game there's a winner and there's a loser. And that's what I tell people about NBA games. Oh, this guy's trash. No, you can't say that because the other team is that much harder to play against. And you need to understand how hard the level of significance is. Because in games like that, crunch time, listen, like George, we've been in the games where I've been around like in a tournament where there's 300 teams, not 300 teams, but 300 people watching one of our games and winning the 3 overtimes. I was at a Christmas tournament, and like I said, man, like, and it was a hard pill to swallow because it was a beautiful trophy. It was a glass trophy, and all my kids would have got glass medallions. And I'm looking at my kids like, bro, just that one little niche, just that one little push, those kids wanted it more than you guys. And I never say we lose games because we weren't prepared. We lose games because the other team cheated. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I say, okay, some calls are more calls than others? Yes. But do I tell my kids there's always a way around it? And how you keep your cool in the game. And I do a lot of film work with them too, so I show them how they carry themselves. Because when I was younger, I was worse than DeMarcus Cousins on the court. As you know me. But when I was in games, when I played for Southwest, I never got technicals. I never got fouls because I knew the importance I needed to be on the court. So if I knew if I was out of the game, we weren't going to get certain rebounds. We weren't going to get a shut down a certain player, or we weren't going to contain a certain player. So I knew, okay, Terrance, you got to shut up. So I tell that to some of my best players, my loud mouths. Hey, look, learn how to close your mouth. And I don't bow down to none of these players. I don't care how good you are. I tell them all the time, you are replaceable, and you can't leave my team. Because a lot of times, a lot of these players feel like, okay, I can tell the coach whatever I want to do. There's been times I have players like that they felt like they could walk on my court, and they feel like my team was a highlight reel for them. And I tell them, hey, look, buddy, you're going against one of the startest teams in Miami, and you don't even have 10 points. So how does that feel about your like? Be real with yourself is the type of coach I am. Like a lot of kids tell me, oh, coach, and they'll tell me on the DM, or they'll tell me separately, hey, look, coach, I deserve to have this, or I deserve this, and I'll give it to them. I'm the type of show me coach. They'll tell me, hey, look, hey, coach, I deserve to play point guard. Okay. My best players know me, and I'll be like, listen, stand off. They'll be pissed because they know we're going to lose the game. They know, coach, this is going to happen. And they know I'm the type of coach that says, hey, listen, I have to give this man the ability, the benefit of the doubt. Because what if he does prevail? I don't do it to hinder the kid. I do it to see what they got.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was younger, a coach didn't he limit me. And when you limit players, I feel like the way I coach positionless basketball. I've been doing it before they started. Oh, we're gonna do positionless basketball because I realized I had some bigs that were afraid of contact, but this kid can shoot threes. So what does that mean? He's weak. He's garbage. You can't think like that. You know, sometimes you have to realize how they best benefit your team. You know,
Yeah.
and
Use
how
their
you can use
strengths.
them. Use their strengths. Because the kid got blocked for me. He just was scared of offensive contact because he didn't want to get a sprained ankle. You know, because it happens. I've had sprained ankles,
Mm-hmm.
getting too much contact. You know, so I realize that doesn't necessarily mean the kid's soft per se or a kid's hot headed. Because when I see those kids that are hot headed, I go, hey, look, man, what's going on?
Yeah.
I go to the root source. Because and one thing, I ask these kids all the time, what's something that you love about me as a coach? And it's always saying, you treat us like human beings. And that's something that, you know, I take pride in. And it made me feel really good inside. You know, it's like, damn, it's crazy that some coaches really don't treat these kids like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say every coach is like that. But what I'm saying is the coaches that are like that, you know, what does that really do for a player? What does that really do for an athlete? You know, so I just wanted to be that bridge to help bridge that psychology and physiology together. And I realized I implement it in ways like I teach kids yoga, meditation, stretching. Um, I do events with them where we go fishing, where I teach them, hey, look, what if the world goes out where we don't have all the stuff we have, we can go to Starbucks, what are you going to do then? So when I put them in these critical thinkings, I realize it's very beneficial to them because when they get on the court, they become more mature. And the parents will ask me, like, what are you doing that's so secretive? And I'm like, I promise you I'm not doing anything secretive that the coach when I was younger in Pee-wees didn't do for me. You know, I'm just trying to be a bigger brother for these kids, you know, because, or necessarily, you know, I saw a quote the other day is be that adult that you never had. You know, and I was like, damn, I never really didn't have a person that would take my hand and literally walk me through how to do a certain move. Literally walk me like George. That's what really brings the greatest out of these kids. They see how much I really care.
Mm-hmm.
They see how much I sacrifice. They see that damn this guy has 3 kids. You know, shout out to my kids, Ezekiel, Prosper, and Phoenix, my lovely wife. Because without them, I wouldn't be able to do this because my wife she's an athlete herself. So she's the one that's like, Terrance, you can do this. Because there's times I really don't see it sometimes. Like, damn, you know, we lost by 20. Some of these kids don't really care. So when I come to practice, I play a lot of mental games with these guys. You know, I won't show up for a week. They're like, damn, where's coach? I'll turn off my notifications on the group chat. And they're like, damn, like, you know, what's wrong with him? And I'll tell them, hey, look, your parents pay money for this. This is not cheap. It's not free. You come here, like you come to school, and you come to learn. And if you don't come like that, don't come here at all. I send kids home. And I don't, like, a lot of their parents get upset at me. But I send them home, hey, look, your son is not doing this. Are you going to get on what I'm doing or I'm trying to stop it instead of a child as an athlete? Or you're going to have them go against this and think that the world is all sunshine and rainbows and everything's given to you on a silver platter? Because the reason why we stay in the games is because I tell them, hey, look, this game is not going to be given to us. We got to work for it. And when they see that we work for it, I reward them in a way that they understand, okay, I want more of this. So I'll say, hey, look, my wife is a really good cook. She's a chef. She works for a corporate office. She's a chef for a corporate office, a corporate kitchen, sorry. And, you know, she cooks for them. And she'll cook steak for them, filet mignon, you know, and they're like, damn, coach, you know, some salmon. She'll cook some, you know, gnocchi. She'll do something like some nice work for them. And sometimes I give a little judge, hey, look, you know, what about me?
What's up? Where's my plate?
I'm just joking, because she thinks a lot of us. But what I'm saying is, you know, like, those are the things that make these kids, you know, like, not only am I always on their back about being great in sports, I have all my kids student portal. And every Monday I'm looking at their grades. You know, like, I tell my wife, give me 3 hours to look through all the grades. I got to look at their absences. You know, I'll tell their parents, hey, look, you know they miss this many times? But some of the parents are working. You know, so that doesn't necessarily mean that a parent's a bad parent. It just means the parent needs help.
Yeah.
So I try my best to do my best and the community. Because what I'm really thriving to do is I don't give a damn if they're the best, LeBron James. I care about what they're going to do in the community in the next 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm. What kind of
So
person they're going to be out there for the world?
what kind of person they're going to be in the world? Because I'm real with these kids. Not everybody's going to make it to the NBA. Not everybody's going to make it to JUCO because JUCO is hard to get into. Mm-hmm. Not everybody's going to make it to D2. That's 1%.
Any league is hard to get into. Any league.
That's 1% of 1 to 5 to 7% of your state. Mm-hmm. That's 100,000 kids out of 1 million kids. 3 million kids. That's not a high percentage.
Yeah. And like people don't realize. Sorry to cut you off, but like people don't realize.
Oh, you're good.
That you got. Let's say you're in high school, whatever. You got that one star player. He's nasty. He's gross. He's windmilling, dunking, whatever. That one player gets to a scholarship to a certain school. Now you have 15 of the same players on one team. And then you got the NBA draft that comes up, or these other drafts, or these other leagues that want you to go in, like the G League, for example. And they try to pick these players and get them into the teams, but then you got another set of 15 outstanding players just like you fighting for that one spot. It's like, well, that's what people don't understand. That's tough.
And you know what it is though? It's because like the NBA now made it more suitable for fans to be a part of the experience. So I feel like a lot of times that hinders the NBA because I feel like a lot of people don't really know what goes on behind closed doors. Like, I've tried out for the G League, man, and it was very hard to make it. I didn't even make it. I made it to the third cut, and I trained for 2 years of my life dedicating that. Not even working. Just
you guys hear that? 2
years. 2 years. And, Eric Spoelstra came up to me, and he was like, listen, he didn't know my name because, we had like the IDs on the shirts.
Yeah.
He's like, look, bro, when you come to the NBA, you got to remember, people are paying $10,000 to $25,000 a seat a night on the 4 seats. They don't want to see an average Joe just doing a layup. They have to see exceptional.
Yeah.
So and when he told me that, he didn't tell me I sucked, or he didn't tell me I was doing weight either. But he basically told me I had skill, but you can't coach height, is what he was basically saying.
Yeah.
So he's saying that.
It's crazy.
So when he said that, it was an honest truth. Like I didn't want to hear that, but I had to bite the bullet. And God opened up the door for me to do this. Because what if one day I could get a kid into the NBA? I see like there's a team. Shout out to one of the best teams in the nation, AAU team out of Compton, Los Angeles, Compton Magic. They drafted players like Evan Mobley, Gabe York, who plays for the AAU. Who plays for the G League team of the Orlando Magic, who has won multiple championships in the G League for the Orlando Magic. So this guy was averaging 32 points a game in college in Arizona. He played with DeAndre Ayton. These guys are on the highest stage and they're still not in the NBA. There's people don't understand. Like, bro, it's 82 games that you're away from your family. And those 2 years, I learned something when I was trying out the G League. One is not for everybody, but two, you really have to be selfish in your work ethic.
Yep.
I see what Dwayne Wade and Tom Brady was talking about. I see why, what's happening, but I see why Giselle left Tom Brady. That guy he's a GOAT for real. Like, bro, you sacrifice, and that man loves his kids like I love my kids. Yeah. To put your kids aside to play this, I think that's why God didn't let me make it to the league, because he understood the type of love that I have for these kids. And to be in the NBA, man, and LeBron James, man, shout out to LeBron. I don't know how the hell that guy's doing it, to be the best player in the NBA and to still be a father to these kids that are going to college right now. And he's doing a phenomenal job because, not to players like Michael Jordan or Shaq, they didn't really get to be around them because that's how much it takes to be great. You can't be around your kids the way you want to. You have to train. I train 4 times a day. I worked out twice, and I did basketball skills twice. Bro, I was running with a guy.
Each train is probably like 2 hours.
Each training was 2 hours and a half, 3 hours.
It's crazy. That's your whole day is gone.
This is before I had kids.
Yeah.
And like you said, my whole day was gone. I didn't get to party with my friends, and I saw what Kobe was talking about. I wasn't Kobe, but I saw what Kobe was talking about. My Kobe mentality literally helped me become the professional that I was able to aspire to be. And like I said, I got to play semi-pro games. But semi-pro is the different level compared to going to Even the G League, man, I got to play against D1 guys that were 7-footers. That the first day I tried out, I didn't score a point. I got blocked every single time I tried to score. And you have to have that mentality. I learned that from Kobe. Because Kobe once said that he played in the national league games and he didn't score. I'm like, damn, if Kobe Bryant didn't do it, shit, I'm not better than him. You know, so I realized it's very, but the real, it's like what they have. My favorite soccer team is FC Denver. Lewandowski's the GOAT, by the way. But
Bayern Munich.
Yeah, Bayern Munich.
Yeah, Bayern Munich.
So, they have on their jerseys, because they have two of their practice jerseys. It says "creme de la creme." You know, the cream rises to the top, and it's true. The best of the best will always ascend, always in the room. It don't matter where you at. And I had kids that coaches come up to me like, I've had kids leave my team to play on NBA AAU teams. You know, and it hurt me, but I felt good because I developed that player into that. You know, it's like, you know, okay, that guy has my players now, my A1 players, but that's what I want. I want these kids to get that exposure. You know, but I want them to be able to carry it, you know, because it is hard at times. Because like you said, coming from my AAU team, which is a regular local AAU team that play regular circuits compared to people that are playing in PGM, you're going to be sitting down. You know, like this kid went from averaging 23 points on my team to averaging 1 or 2 points on the other team. And he got booty hurt. He didn't know how to handle it. I told him, look, bro, how do you expect, because he told me he had dreams to go to the NBA. And I told him, look, I won't tell you that you're good enough to make it, but if you're willing to work for it, it's possible. And when he got to that team, he got comfortable. I'm talking about these kids all the time. When you get complacent, that's when you die as an athlete.
Yep. Yeah, you got to keep working and working and working, no matter what. For sure.
No matter what room you get in. Yeah. This kid got a little more apparel. He started going to better tournaments. And I was like, look, bro, I'm proud of you, but stop boasting about it. Stop being on Instagram about it. Oh, I got this. I got that. I'm signing with this guy. Man, that's cool and all, bro. That's cool, but these NBA scouts care about do you know how to play basketball or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and how much work in you're going to put, the confidence that you got, the effort that you're going to give, you know, and even bad publicity sometimes. The NBA doesn't want the bad publicity. Look at Joe Durant.
Perfect example. Perfect example.
Yeah, man.
You know, and it's sad, but perfect example because, you know, it's even sadder to let you guys know that you said it to add on to what you said to that. I'll give a little insight to the people that are watching. The people that may not know this at least. The Miami Heat, and this is why I love the organization of the Heat. Shout out to the Miami Heat, by the way.
Yes, sir.
Because our G League team is not even in Miami. It's in South Dakota, Sioux Falls.
Yep.
And when I tried out for the third tryout, the next thing was I was going to get on a plane. So the people that made it from that tryout, the last tryout that I made it to, they all made it to the Sioux Falls team on the roster. So we're all getting plane. Well, not we, the people that made it. We're getting plane tickets when they sign right there the contract, and that shit sucks to watch that. But watching these guys sign, I'm like, damn, bro. And they're like, yo, like the coaches will tell them, and like, be prepared to not see your family for this period of time, you know. And it sucks because they know you have to put in the dedication.
Yeah, man.
Bro, you know what it is to give a kid $100,000 in Miami at 20 years old. So even at the Miami Heat, they all have the organizations. They all have security, or they all have security details, where they watch these kids. Not kids, let me say young adults, because 19 to 21 years old, they're not a kid. But to give kids that much money in a place like Miami, it's very hard to keep those kids in sanity. So that's
the
something.
Distractions everywhere.
The distractions. Dexter Pittman is one of the. He's one of the main things, and Hassan Whiteside are the main examples of those things. Because the Miami Heat have a rule, you can't be over 10% body fat. So what happens is when you made those contracts, a lot of these guys get lazy when they start drinking. Like that's Dexter Pittman was a big experiment for Pat Riley, and we realized that he started to get to 325 at 7 feet. He's like, look, bro, your ligaments aren't going to be able to move the way I need your twitch muscles to work. So it's a science, man. Like a lot of people think that you can just walk on the court and just tie your shoes and be a basketball player. It's levels to this, you know. And I won't say like it's like, oh, you got to be great at it, but it's repetition. You know, how much repetition you put it in. You know, are you really in the gym? I tell my kids all the time, what are you doing outside of my practice? Because Steve Nash is one of my favorite players, and I really embody Steve Nash and Kobe Bryant's mentality. A real man in the dark is working when nobody else is watching.
Yep.
George, I know you since we were younger, and I used to watch you work when you was at CP, man. I saw you doing a lot of drills. I saw you doing the cone drills with my dog. Shout out to Jawan, by the way.
Yeah.
But that's my dog. I know him since we were 11. I've known that guy's work ethic for a while. Look what got him.
Crazy work ethic. Crazy work ethic.
That guy, bro. Listen, I'm coming out with an apparel brand like Nike, and I know it's in the works right now, so I'm not gonna talk about it.
Okay.
Eventually, maybe on another podcast, we can talk about it.
For sure, 100%.
But I call myself a mad scientist because I'm a surgeon, man. I break this down to science, and I break it down to where anybody can learn from this. Because that's what I wanted to. I wanted to create that environment. No matter what walks of life you come from, you can be great at something as long as you're inspired for it.
Yep. The love and dedication that you show for it too, man. That's just all gonna show at the end. It's just people just gotta realize that Rome wasn't built overnight. That it's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while.
Another thing I tell my kids.
You gotta keep going.
That's another thing I tell my kids.
You can't get complacent on, all right, I achieved this goal. Damn, you know what? Yeah, I feel good. Yeah, reward yourself, celebrate. But the next day, the next morning, get back to work. Because if not, you're not going to get to that place where you really want to go. You're only going to stay at that one goal that you accomplished.
That's something I got piggyback on another thing that you said. We can do this all day, man. But my nephew right now.
We're not going to even talk NBA.
my nephew, bro, he came from averaging 6 points a game to now dunking. And he used to tell me that. He's like, damn, Terrance, how did you see it? I was like, because I took those steps. I said, okay, I can do this. Nah, I have to be able to do this. I have to be able to do this. I have to be able to do this. Yep. And I realized that with him, like, he asked me, like, man, how did you see that I was going to get this good? I was like, one, you're humble. He's like Derrick Rose. That kid doesn't really believe like he belongs in certain rooms. But this kid's getting scholarship offers. And he's like, damn. And I'm like, look, you see this? You didn't believe in us. You didn't say you could do this, but look what you're doing.
Yep.
Like, he didn't believe he can dunk. But it took me a month to teach him how to dunk. Yeah. And he had that ability already, but he got it. Yeah. But yeah, man, like you said, I want to be able to talk about other subjects if we can. So if you want to be able to,
if we're good, because I know we're both tight on time, but again, like I said, like you mentioned it and I mentioned it, I'll get you back on the pod. That's no problem for sure. But we're tight on time and stuff like that. I know we're both busy dudes right now. We'll talk about this last thing before we get out of here, because I know one of your favorite teams is the Miami Heat for sure, but your second favorite team or the first, I don't know what order it comes in, but is the
I can't speak on it because we're from Miami.
It's all good. I'm a fucking Miami Heat Dallas Cowboys fan. Like, who the hell does that?
That's also true. But hey, listen, the Cowboys is a staple in how they build their programs as well too.
Yeah, facts. But one of your other favorite teams is the Phoenix Suns, and the Suns have made some crazy off-season moves by acquiring Bradley Beal from the Washington Wizards. And their starting five right now at this point, by signing one of the players, is Devin Booker, probably at the 1, at the 2, Eric Gordon, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton, and Bradley Beal. With that being said, how are you liking your team so far after these offseason moves? And I'm pretty sure there's going to be more coming, but as of right now.
I would say this is going to be a crazy take, but I would say if we could, because we have Frank Vogel as a coach, and he's a defensive-minded coach.
Great coach.
I would say this might be a second coming of the Boston Celtics when they had Big Red there. With what's my guy's name? What's my guy's name? Bro? This guy just I can't believe I forgot this guy's name. Wow. It's because my daughter just, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Larry the Great, Larry the Legend, though, bro.
Yeah, man.
But anyway,
the '80s Celtics.
I see the way. But I mean by efficiency wise, I mean by that because a lot of people may think that it's not going to work. But one, people don't talk about enough. We don't talk about the work that James Jones has done with the Suns. I've been a Suns fan since '97, since Kevin Johnson was there. A lot of people may not believe me, but I have. And like you said, Miami is crazy. But I've always been a Suns fan more than I've been a Heat fan. But I'm kind of unappreciated the Heat. But the Suns, I've been a Suns fan since growing up, and we've never had a defensive-minded coach. We've always had coaches like until we had Monty Williams, but we've always had coaches like Mike and Tony that were really offensive-minded, and like we really ridiculed on scoring, outscoring teams. I really feel like we brought that to the NBA, like how the Warriors are doing it, how the Kings are now doing it, how teams are now doing it. OKC doesn't know.
You guys, Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire and Sean Mary. You guys started it for sure. It was.
But we also had a defensive. We also had some defensive players like Raja Bell. But I really feel like this team right now, because a lot of people don't speak about how Devin Booker plays defense. Devin Booker is a really good defensive player. He didn't make any first team all defenses, but he made a second team and third team. But this guy is a scrappy defender, and the way the roster is going to be built, it's going to be really. We're going to have a really. And it's going to bring back the mid-range game because the Suns have, like when we had Chris Paul, we had the best mid-range game, And I'll say this will be the first time. I knew we weren't going to win the championship, and I also knew that the Nuggets were going to win because of how good the Suns were and how they beat us. The way they beat us, they still walked us down, and they realized that we have a weakness. Our chemistry wasn't there. Our chemistry, we only had 9 weeks together with Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
and people fail to realize how hard the NBA is to win. And I talk about the Suns because that's my baby. I talk about it because I know everything that goes on in that organization. Not saying I know it, like in the sense of the insights, but saying watching the moves that we're doing and why we're doing it.
Yeah, you're a big time fan. You're a big time fan.
James Jones got Bradley Beal not only because the owner's son is a scout, but because they know Bradley Beal can help any locker room, and the way he plays the game, he played with John Wall. So you're telling me if he can play with John Wall, who averaged 25, 28 points a game, he can't play with Devin Booker? Because Devin Booker and Chris Paul did it too. So what I'm saying is, yeah, it's going to be hard to move the ball, but we also have an example of what the Heat did with LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade. Those guys all still average 20 points a game.
Yep.
So what I'm saying is, there is, and even with the Celtics when they have the big three, even with OKC when they have the big three, there's always representation that is possible, And I believe Frank Vogel is able to do that because one, he already had a high-end player with Paul George when he was with the Pacers, and he was also when he was with the Lakers. He had high-level names. This is not his first time, his first rodeo dealing with that. Nor is it with James Jones. James Jones is like the Pat Riley. He learned from Pat Riley. Not saying that he is Pat Riley, but that guy is making moves that people don't know what he's doing behind doors. Because, let's be honest, nobody saw Chris Paul coming to the Suns. But people didn't know the fact that Monty Williams and Chris Paul had a very close relationship. And people didn't know that move when James Jones brought Monty Williams over. People were like, oh, they were better coaches. They don't understand that relationships matter. And that matters because that's what loyalty lies at. When we lost to Giannis in that championship, I was just proud that we made it to the Western Conference Finals. I was mad that we lost, but people don't understand how hard it is to win in sports.
It's like that. The Milwaukee Bucks that year were disgusting.
Disgusting. And that's when Giannis ascended to even more greatness because the greats they conquered their fears. Bro, we did a great game plan. I was proud of Monty Williams. I was like, bro, this guy's the coach of the year. He was the coach of the year. Giannis extended great, bro. A coach can't play in the game anymore. So like, bro, we did our best. Nobody could guard Giannis in the NBA, bro, in a one-on-one like that, bro. The whole game, we did a good job containing him, but DeAndre Ayton could not guard Giannis. And we didn't have size. When we let go JaVale McGee, I think that was a really bad disposition because he was a great acquisition for us because Chris Paul did a great job developing him as a big of a pick and roll. We did a good job picking up more assets this year. So I'm happy to see what we're going to do, We kept DeAndre Ayton because I really believe in him. I was really happy we drafted him. I really felt that was the best draft pick we had after Devin Booker.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like when it comes to just the team overall and how people are like talking about how they're really gonna play this season coming up. One, what people don't realize is what you mentioned, that the Suns only had like 9 weeks with Kevin Durant there and Devin Booker actually playing with each other. Obviously, they had CP3, they let him go, so now it's a different rotation going on. But still, now you're gonna get a full offseason with Devin Booker and KD getting together, looking at film, reading what's going on the floor, try to help each other out, knowing each other weaknesses and strengths on the court, so they know not to go here, but let me go there, let me fill in this gap for him and stuff. It's gonna be good for them to score, right? Now they bring in Bradley Beal, which is a player that can score 25 a night. You got 4 players on the court that can score 20 a game, because I think DeAndre Ayton can score 20 a game at least.
Yes, sir. Thank you for giving the nod.
And then 3 of those players can score 25 a night, right? So the way that the NBA is right now, there's not a lot of defense being played in the NBA because of the refs calls and all these rules that have been changed and stuff. So if they're looking at it like, okay, if no team can really defend us and we're shooting lights out with 3 players scoring at least 80 a game, who's going to stop us? The closest team that's going to stop you guys is the Denver Nuggets, because they're really defensive minded. They really play hard together, and they have grit and toughness.
Dirty
for sure. Yeah, for sure. I think that will go to a 7-game series this time if they do face each other again, which will probably be in the Western Conference Finals. I don't see the Lakers getting there like that with the Suns roster like this, but you still have a full offseason left, right?
I think LeBron is still looking scary too. You can never knock him out.
For sure. I'll never knock him out. But the thing is, with this Suns roster and how and Denver's confidence now through the roof, I think it's gonna be crazy tough. But we'll still see the Lakers around for sure.
But I think the NBA is in a really good position, is what I want to say.
Yeah, facts. So you guys still have an off season left, because the first NBA regular season game is until the end of October. You guys still have the NBA trade deadline, which is by the All-Star break, which is mid-February. You guys still have potential to make certain moves to bring in defensive-minded players, because you don't need any more scorers. Because you could have 2 at all times on the floor that are going to give you 20 a game. So you bring
mismatch, whichever you want.
Yeah, you bring in more defensive-minded players. You do a little trades here and there, and you guys can potentially get to that one spot. The only thing that I would add is if you guys get a great facilitator, and just off the top of the dome, if I think of somebody, because you had mentioned the team earlier, Rajon Rondo, you bring him out there to get these players their open spots, he will average 10 assists a game, and these players will be averaging 25 a night, the 3 top players that I was talking about. And you guys,
I see it.
You guys, your ceiling will be sky high for sure.
One thing I love that you touched on that we're missing right now, because Chris Paul was really missed against that series against the Nuggets. Because one thing that we can say about these guys, they're very ball dominant, but they need somebody to be able to orchestrate the game.
Exactly.
And Rondo is somebody you could put another point guard besides Chris Paul, because we need a point guard to be able to orchestrate our team. Because, like you said, that person will probably average 10 assists a game on a bad night.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like you said before, we need somebody to be able to orchestrate it. Because I think that was the problem when we also lost. Because we could also came back against the Nuggets that time, but I feel like I said, it wasn't enough chemistry. But I also feel like Bradley Beal is going to really help that out a lot too, because the way he attacks the basket. And like you said, and you touched on defense. One thing we didn't talk about is our bench. We got Terrance Ross off our bench. Terrance Ross is a phenomenal pickup. And another pickup that I'm very pleased with is Drew Eubanks from Portland. Drew Eubanks is a really good defensive player. And I really think that he helped the Blazers last year out with the defensive schemes. And I'm happy to see what he can do for us. And Jacques Landale did an amazing job in the playoffs when DeAndre Ayton fell short when he couldn't guard Jokic. I don't take a knock at DeAndre Ayton, because it's very hard to guard Jokic. I just feel like he didn't have the answer for him. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like Landale was a perfect opportunity to show his value to the Suns. And I think us re-signing him again this year, like I said, man, I'm really happy with James Jones. And don't get me wrong, when I first saw the pictures that we got together, I'm human, I can be honest. I didn't believe that this team might work either, Because I'm like, man, that's too overpowering offensive. But now look what Kevin Durant did with Steph Curry, and the Warriors. They had a crazy offensive team too. They had Sean Livingston and Andre Iguodala coming off the bench still. So
Or players
we
that
have
need to score as well. So
Eric Gordon has come off the bench when he had James Harden and he had Chris Paul. So I see these players really gelling very well because we had a very veteran locker room, and Devin Booker has ascended to me as being the hardest one-on-one player. To me, it used to be Paul George, but I really believe this year Devin Booker took a step forward in that. And I'm not gonna say just scoring. I'm saying like ways he can score.
yeah,
And I really
he's like a
believe
5 level scorer if there's anything in that nature.
I really believe, and he was like that when he was in Kentucky. He was just overweight. I've watched that guy since he was in high school, and when he was at the Suns, like don't get me wrong, I was always thinking that we needed more people, and I was happy we had Eric Bledsoe with him. But a lot of times, he was always not saying the Kobe, but he always had Kobe-esque abilities, and like bro, like man, this kid is really, like, I really see him average of 28 points in the game, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ever became the league leader. I'm sorry, the scoring title leader of a season. Maybe one or two times. In his career,
for sure.
because Kevin Durant came to the Suns because of Devin Booker, and he said it. This is when I really found out how great Devin Booker was. You remember that year when Devin Booker first came to the USA team? I think it was in 2015 in the FIBA team, the FIBA roster. He went against Kevin Durant, Paul George, James Harden, and they had that footage. This guy, they were doing like one-on-ones, but the one-on-ones they were doing were one dribbles. And I was like, you remember what Kobe Bryant said, right? Kobe Bryant said this. If you or T-Mac said this, if you could dribble one time and score on somebody, you could play in any league in the world. Devin Booker is that one person that could dribble one time and shoot in on the court. Damian Lillard is another one of those guys too. But man, I really believe in my team, man. And I think Devin Booker really learned a lot from Chris Paul and being a leader, because Chris Paul this year really emphasized on Devin Booker being the leader and letting him get more of those reps at point guard. Because you're right, he did put him at point guard a lot. And I can see this lineup being Devin Booker at point guard. I'll say Bradley Beal at the 2, Eric Gordon at the 3, Kevin Durant at the 4, and then DeAndre Ayton at the 5.
Okay.
Because we still have Bismack Biyombo. We have a lot of bigs that we can implement in that. But then again, they will do a lot. It depends on what teams you play against. Because if we play against Boston, Kevin Durant is going to have to guard Jason Tatum. So Kevin Durant's going to have to play the 3. But you can even put Kevin Durant at the 2, or even be the point guard. You know what I'm saying? So I really think that there's a lot of mismatch going on there, and I think this is a really big. I think this is like one of the biggest examples of positionless basketballs, like the Warriors, like the Kings, like you even said the Nuggets, like the Lakers. When you have a team like that you don't know who can bring up the ball, that's a problem, because I play like that with my teams.
No, it is a problem. You create such mayhem on the defensive side for the other team that they don't know what to do, what to set, what zones will play, man. Like it just goes out the window.
It goes out the window.
You just start playing basketball. You're just like, yo, you know what? Instinct. Don't let this guy get in front of you. Don't let him shoot. That's it.
You know what's crazy? Dwayne Wade talked about that when the Mavs beat us when we first got LeBron. They said it. They said, Dwayne, I love Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade said, we didn't have an answer for J.J. Barea.
Oh, yeah. On Club Shay Shay.
You remember? Yes, on Shay Shay. And he said that. It's like, bro, that says a lot, because even though that guy's 5'8", 5'9", but people didn't know. Also, J.J. Barea was ranked at Miami Christian higher than LeBron James. When LeBron James was at St. Vincent St. Mary. If you ever saw the movie More Than a Game, they had Miami Christian ranked number 1 in the nation in basketball. Mm-hmm. And J.J. Barea was on that team. How crazy is that?
That's fire.
That's crazy. And that guy's a little guy, bro. Yeah, Dwayne Wade said, Dwayne Wade said he should have won MVP if Dirk didn't win it. And it's true, because we didn't have an answer for those guys. So like you said, it breaks down the defense. I was just giving an example of that. It breaks down the defense. So that's why it's so important to have a team, to have leaders on the team, the pillars that can be able to grow through that. Because we need that. And I think Devin Booker has been on the highest stage and being in the finals now and losing, and being Kevin Durant. And like you said, in the offseason, people don't realize how much you can learn in the off season. Because in the off season, these guys go on trips together, and they're there. Like right now, you can see them working right now in the gym. And I be posting on my personal page, Showtime 999. You know, if you guys want to.
Yeah, we'll do that then. Yeah, we'll do that then.
But sorry about that. But anyway,
No, you're
you
good.
know, you know, when I post those things, you see these guys and them in the gym for 15 hours together. You know, like, you know, when like the dedication it takes. Aaron Gordon even talked about it, how he made his own like 2K house where he made like a gym where he bought this old hangar and made a house with a basketball
that shows raw.
You know,
Shows raw.
that's raw.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do that before, but you know that costs money. You got to be in the NBA to do that. You know,
soon.
Exactly every you know every athlete will want to do that. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, touching on that, like you said, you know, on the roster, I'll say we could definitely go to the Western Conference Finals. But like you said before, the camaraderie, people fail to realize what chemistry really brings. The camaraderie that the Nuggets really have. I wasn't even mad when they won because I was actually happy for them because they've gone through so much hardship. And when teams go through hardship, that's a crutch for that team because they went through that together. You know, like how do you think the Warriors were able to win that last championship they won? Steph and these guys were out for a while and they were fighting a lot of injuries. You know, that hinders a lot. You know, you're used to winning, you're used to winning finals to not even making it to the playoffs. That goes to a lot of men's spirit. So it's like, what are you really made of? And to really see people ascend against that, that's greatness. You know, greatness is not always winning at finals. Greatness is sometimes conquering your fears. Greatness sometimes is conquering something that you never believed you could overcome. You know, I had ACL tears and come against those things. You know, that's why I really give my hats off to these NBA players and these professional athletes in any sport that you play, because people don't really realize like the arthritis you go through, the bad knees you go through, the ice baths you got to do. You know, the toll it takes on your body. You know.
Yeah. No.
So
Facts.
I really believe, and the Suns are one of the best teams when it comes to load management. And I just see us. We have 2 starting lineups on our team in our roster.
Yep.
We don't have to always play. We don't really like. It's like that's how the success was built on the 2 championships we won with LeBron. You know, they had two lineups.
Yeah,
you know,
Shane Batty off the bench, Ray Allen off the bench.
Off the bench.
Norris Cole, Birdman. Like that's a like an average winning NBA team, and off the bench.
So that's what. But like you said, shout out to I hope James Jones is listening to my man's podcast, Jones podcast. You need to go out and get Rondo because Rondo is a point guard, and I think that is our missing piece. It's crazy that you say that because I was thinking about that the other day, and I've been posting about it a lot because they've been like, "Oh, James Harden might come here, and we might get all these other celebrity names, but we don't need that. We need somebody that's going to come and do the job."
For y'all, man. In my opinion,
he's not going to work for us. Yeah, I agree. He's gonna. Our team might look pretty on a sheet, but that's not. And then 2K, but he's not going to do that for us in game because he doesn't work for us. You know, we need somebody that's going to work for us because we're about to go into the gates of hell in the finals and in the playoffs because the Western Conference Finals is getting worse. Look at the Kings did, man. The Kings are not playing around. They gave the Warriors a run for their money.
And the dude they just drafted is like a Euro League champion or something like that.
Come on, bro. With DeAndre you know why they don't miss? Aaron. They don't miss because that front office. They have what's one of his name? Roddy D-Block is there.
Yeah.
They have some of the guys some of these guys are European, so they have connections to these places. They know who the killers are. Bro, when they got Sabonis, that was a big up for that team. You know, like I said, man, I'm not going to be naive and say just because we have a roster of stars, we're going to be good. But I will say that with the coaches that we have and Frank Vogel, I think that guy knows what he's doing. And I think that he knows how to put a locker room together. So I'm excited to see what we're going to do.
No, definitely, bro.
I don't think we're going to be blowing teams out. I think it's going to take us time to get us to get on track. But by All-Star time, like you said, All-Star weekend, and like by the trade deadline, I think that we'll be a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, I think you guys will finish either second or third in the West for sure.
I agree.
Try to get home court advantage. Obviously, you want that, but I think it's gonna be tough with Denver out there. And I think the Kings are gonna fall down a bit, and I think the Lakers are gonna move up with the additions that they got,
Oh
the
yes,
re-signs that they got and stuff
I
like that.
agree with you. That team that they put together, I was like, man, LeBron does not miss, bro. He does not miss 2
Right,
years in a row.
right. Let
He missed.
GM,
He
let
missed.
GM.
Let GM is his listen,
Uh,
bro. You know, he owns a team too, right? He owns a soccer team, not fully but partially. But
Liverpool.
that guy's a very good. Yes, he's like in Liverpool. He's a great GM, man. That guy, he knows what he's doing, man. So I'm excited to see what the NBA has next year because, like you said, there's a lot of big fish in that conference.
Yeah,
Even in the East, man, like the East is still stacked too, bro. People still sleep. Like you said, Giannis just rebuilt too. I got locked and loaded, bro.
yeah,
To
bro.
sign
Yeah.
Chris Middleton again.
No, and he's pissed of what happened last year. He got injured, and then we beat them in 5, a gentleman sweep that was not supposed to
And
happen at all.
gentlemen, that was not supposed to happen.
Yeah,
Well, that's what they thought was supposed to happen because that's the beauty about sports. You know, that's why I love Jimmy Buckets because, like you said, like when you smell the blood in the water, you're not supposed to play with your food.
yep.
You're not supposed to sit there and let them hang around because if they would have let them hang around, they could have
They
lost.
would have came
They were
back.
the first team. So I tell my kids all the time, you don't play with your food, man.
Yeah, man. Before we get out of here, I just want to say this because you were talking about how LeBron owns a team. I'm telling you right now, when LeBron retires, the NBA will do an expansion, and he will be the owner of a Las Vegas team. I'm telling you right now, you heard it here first.
I agree with you. And the fact that he has ties with the Cowboys, I think, yeah,
They're
he
gonna
knows
help
like
out,
that.
probably help out, give him some
He's gonna
money,
have.
maybe.
He has a lot of bro. Like and I also think they're gonna do another expansion team too. I see them doing it with Seattle again as well too.
Yeah,
Maybe not right off the back because it takes billions of dollars to start a team. People don't understand how hard it is to start a team.
yeah.
But I
There
do,
have to
like you
be
said,
many investors for sure.
but I really believe what you said is true. Vegas is first because um, if you notice, they have a facility down there. That's what the facility is for the USA team. So there's so much basketball down in Vegas, and Vegas has a city as a hot spot in basketball. Why wouldn't they have a basketball team there?
Yeah, I was just
You
there.
know,
I was just there last week, and I went to the Aces game, and bro, sold out for the Aces game, and it's a WNBA game. I know a lot of people don't like WNBA. I get it, but I feel like
I
casual.
love the WNBA.
Yeah, like I feel like people that love basketball, like the fundamentals and shot making and all this stuff, I feel like they would like WNBA because it's more fundamental basketball than anything.
I agree with you said. Like you said, that's the reason why they don't have a lot of fans. It's because that's what makes the NBA exciting because you see the windmills, you see the crazy stamp blocks. You don't see that in WNBA, but
Yeah,
people don't realize the WNBA girls are more efficient than the boys. They shoot way more efficient than us.
yeah. Well,
These girls,
yeah,
if you look it up, they're shooting 50, 60% from three. That's crazy. That's unheard of in the NBA because you have a lot more contact. So I'm not saying that the women don't have contact, but what I'm saying is, like you said, it's more fundamentals, it's more skill, there's less excitement. But for the fan that does know about the shot making ability, the WNBA is a good way to watch it. But like you said again, that's not everybody's cup of tea.
yeah. Well, hey T, I appreciate you coming on. Before we get out of here, let these people know where they can follow your team or your IG, whatever you want to shout out. Just put it out there, man.
Okay, yeah. So is it okay if I give all three?
Yeah, whatever you want.
Okay, so my main page is Showtime 999. My training page is Legendary Impact Training. It's Legendary _Impact _training. And my basketball, where you guys can follow it. We talked about this whole episode about my team. Is at Legendary B-Ball on Instagram. And I thank you for having me, George. It was a pleasure talking to you about sports, man. I hope we can maybe run it back. And by then, I can talk to you guys about my sports brand. But man, you have a blessed day, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys. You know exactly where you can follow me: Twitter, GeorgeMike Perez, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at GMike Media _. And the podcast, the audio version of itself, is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, and now on Rumble as well. T, thank you again, my dog. And you already know I'm gonna have you back on, dog. You already know.
Yes, sir. Yeah, have a blessed day, sir.
Yes, sir. You too, man.